Good morning, Hilton Baptist Church. It's Friday morning, the 6th of November, and I have a little preview for you of Sunday's sermon. We're starting a brand new series, and it's going to be around the subject of hope. As I was preparing for this message earlier in this week, I read in the New Bible Dictionary that hope is a psychological necessity. We all need hope. And if we don't have hope, then our lives become hopeless and meaningless and dreadful. And so there is something in the human psyche that just looks out for hope as an absolute necessity to live. Also had the privilege this week of watching the documentary series called Chasing the Sun about the World Cup 2019 effort of the Springboks. It's quite a good documentary, and if you can handle a lot of colourful language that is unfortunate, then it's worth the watch. What was particularly striking to me was some of the comments made at the end of the documentary. The first one was from Aled Walters, who was the fitness coach. He was a Welshman, a fitness coach, and he was absolutely overwhelmed when they came back having won the World Cup with what he saw. And he said this, he said he had first-hand knowledge of how important the game is in South Africa. And then he said, but it's not the game, it's hope. And then Rassie Erasmus himself commented on this with quite a profound comment. He said, I think there's a difference between hope and happiness. And I hope that we kick on because it will be really significant. Happiness will go into hope. And that's a fairy tale. And I thought to myself, wow, that is true, hey? And in many ways, the World Cup gave our country hope. It gave us something to dream about, something to enjoy, and it brought us great happiness, and maybe even more than that, maybe even hope. But as I look back, and especially as I watched all of that documentary, I realized that there's two significant problems with that kind of hope. And the first is that it is very vulnerable. So much could have gone wrong. I don't know if you remember the World Cup from last year. I could give numerous examples, but the semi-final against Wales, we very nearly lost. And in the quarterfinal against Japan, the Beast got a yellow card for a tackle. And if it had been a red card, which it could have been, then there would have been serious problems. Fortunately, the final itself was not in question. The English never had a chance on that day. But it does strike me that that kind of hope is very precarious. So much could go wrong that would not deliver the product that is needed. And then secondly, and this I think we need to give stock to as well, is that kind of hope does not produce a fairy tale. Because we didn't live happily ever after. 2019, November, it was fabulous watching the World Cup win. But 2020's brought us lockdowns and depressions and loss of jobs and horrific incidences like what happened at Clicks. And the truth is that there has been no fairy tale. We were happy for a while, but it hasn't brought anything long-lasting. And of course it hasn't, because rugby can't do that. Rugby can make us happy for a while, and it can maybe give us hope of a better future, but it doesn't deliver on that. We need something better. And I believe that Jesus is the only better hope for the future, because Jesus doesn't just give us hope for the moment. He gives us a certain and wonderful hope for the future. And it doesn't just make us happy for a little while, it gives us joy. Joy that is almost independent of our experiences and what is happening around us. And so we're going to think about this subject of hope for the next few weeks. And incorporated in that will be the hope of Christmas, because the birth of a baby in Bethlehem indeed changed the world and brought great hope indeed. We're going to start on Sunday by looking at the Garden of Eden right at the very beginning. And I want us to think for a little bit about what it must have been like for Adam and Eve to realize that they've blown it, that they've messed up, that actually all hope is lost because they've listened to the wrong voice. And then to hear the judgment of God, the curses that came upon them because of what they did. But because of God's amazing grace, there is a glimmer of hope as he speaks to them. It's mostly darkness. It's mostly great disappointment and quite a lot of harshness involved. But there is a glimmer of hope. And we're going to look at that on Sunday. So come and join us. We'll see you then.